Welcome to the Gita in Action podcast. My name's Radha, and I'm here with our family of seekers, and we're reading through the Bhagavad Gita, verse by verse, talking about its relevance to our lives, and really diving in deep here. So we're in chapter 8 today. We're in chapter 8, and we're starting a new section in chapter 8. I'll get into that in a little bit, but it's a really nice couple verses that we have to discuss today. So, before we get into that, Shakti, can you say our prayers for us?
Thank you for the honor. Om Jnana Timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Where am I? Sorry. Namaha Jai. Where am I? I totally lost myself. I'm going to go on to Vandeham. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savaditam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saha Gana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitams Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancha Garungi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Prananami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Bhavembhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadahara Srivasari Guru Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so like I said today, chapter, we're in chapter 8, and we're going to start with, are we on text 14? We're going to start with text 14, chapter 8, text 14. And before we get into it, just to kind of, we'll recap where we are up to this point in chapter 8, right? So, chapter 8 largely is about remembrance of Krishna, especially remembrance of Krishna at the time of death, right? And the first few verses, verses like 1 through 4, the first couple verses, Arjuna asks 6 questions, right? And Krishna answers those pretty quickly until he gets to the last question, which is about remembering Krishna at the time of death, and that theme kind of takes us through the rest of the chapter, right? And the last section, kind of subsection that we finished up, verses 9 through 13, Krishna describes this yoga mixed with bhakti, so devotion mixed with yoga practice. Right? And so now we're getting to verse 14, which is where Krishna is going to start speaking about pure bhakti, right? So it's not mixed with any other intention, it's not mixed with any path, it's just pure devotion, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So we'll start with 14, and I'll share my screen. Stella, when you're ready, can you read that verse for us?
Certainly, thank you. Or one who always remembers me without deviation. I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so like we said, in this verse, Krishna is describing the destination of those who practice pure devotion, right? Unalloyed bhakti yoga. Devotion that's not mixed with any motive or method. And up until this point in the Gita, Krishna has spoke about different kinds of devotees, different people who approach him. So he talked about those who come to him in distress, those who are curious, those who want some material benefit, those who are seeking knowledge and liberation. Right? Remember those four kinds of motives, different people that approach Krishna. And then he also mentioned various spiritual paths. So we've talked about karma yoga quite a bit in the first few chapters, right? And then jnana yoga, right? Ashtanga yoga. And each one contains a little bit of bhakti, right? Like a touch of devotion. So here, Krishna's highlighting something deeper. Right? Now, this is like pure bhakti, where the heart wants nothing but him. And a pure devotee isn't trying to reach heaven. They're not striving for power. They're not even chasing liberation or merging into God's light, like the Yanis. They just want Krishna. They just want God's presence, his service, his love. So this is like all other motives are just stripped away. And in a lot of scriptures, you'll see this called a nishkama, right? They're desireless. And that's not in the sense of like being numb or detached from life, but they just have no selfish desire left. They're not trying to get anything from Krishna. They're just trying to give their heart to Krishna. That's how pure they are. And this is why such a person experiences this real peace. Because everyone is still striving. Like the Jnani wants knowledge. The Karmi wants results. The Ashtanga yogi wants cities or powers, mystic powers. Right? But the devotee just wants love. And that love is what makes Krishna easy to attain. That's what he's saying here. When our heart is simple and sincere, when we stop bargaining with God and we just want to love him, he becomes very near, very real, and very easy to reach. And that's what he's saying here. When we strip away all other motives for approaching him, he actually becomes very easy to attain. And then that's what he says, right? For one who always remembers me, I am easy to obtain. And we should recognize this word easy that's said here, right? It's powerful, and it's actually the only verse in the Gita where Krishna actually uses a word that implies that the process is easy. Right? And that tells us that this verse can only refer to bhakti because no other path is described this way. We just got done talking about Ashtanga yoga, how difficult that is, how austere, how much discipline that takes. The bhakti yoga path, it doesn't take that level of austerity, right? Because it comes from a place of love, and that's what makes it like light and joyful, and in one sense, easy. So he's saying here, you don't have to leave the world to find me. You just have to bring me into your heart. And that's really beautiful and something for all of us to consider. So if we step back again and look at the flow of this chapter, Krishna's contrasting these two approaches. When we talked about Ashtanga yoga, right? It requires celibacy. It requires meditation, withdrawing from the world, deep breath control, just and so on and so on. It requires all these very austere practices. But he says that one can remember him through that process, right? Through steady, loving remembrance. So what he's saying here is that whatever results can be achieved through years of this rigorous yoga can also be achieved through undeviated, heartfelt bhakti. We were saying in the last class, bhakti is like the elevator ride up. It's the fast track. It's a fast track because it's powered by love. It's an elevator powered by just shh. The mechanical path of yoga, it requires years of control. The path of devotion just moves through through attraction. And if we remember in chapter 6, the Ashtanga Yoga chapter, when Arjuna said, Krishna, controlling the mind is like trying to control the wind. And here, Krishna is gently answering that concern. He's saying, yes, it's difficult, but when your mind is fixed on me with love, it becomes easy. Isn't that beautiful? I was just talking about this with my husband last night when my daughter was first born, how like I don't think I slept for like 4 days. It was just like it didn't even care. It is just she was just like all I was thinking about. You know, is any woman who has children here, like the birthing process is a whole thing. The breastfeeding process then starts right after that. You hardly sleep. It's like, but you just don't care because you love your child so much that it doesn't even matter. Whereas like if you didn't have that love, doing all of those things would be like next to impossible. It's like if you could even muster up the discipline to do it. But and that's like the Ashtanga yogi path, like they're trying to detach before they attach, and that makes it very difficult. But in bhakti yoga, we are attaching, we're offering our hearts, and in that, the negative is much easier to let go of because it just consumes you. It becomes your full focus when you fall in love. So that's the practice of bhakti yoga, and that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to fall in love with God. And in that, we develop a relationship with God. Then that brings us higher, right? That elevates our consciousness, that allows us to show up in all of our other relationships from a pure, more selfless place. So that's what's happening here. Right? And we've all experienced that difference, when discipline feels forced versus when devotion just feels light and natural. And that's what we're talking about here. And it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be, exhausting. It can be like a warm hug. Right? I mean, that's what it is. This is bhakti. And if we're honest, we know like no spiritual path is effortless. Even like worldly success takes some discipline. And for worldly success, those results don't even last, right? So of course, spiritual growth, it does require effort too. But what we're saying here is that in bhakti, that effort, it feels lighter because again, the mind has something joyful to hold on to right from the beginning, right? So we don't have to pull the mind away from the negative. We're just redirecting it towards something higher. And naturally, the negative just kind of falls off. So that's why bhakti works. It's not suppression, it's substitution.
Radha,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, if I may.
Yeah, you look very angelic today, Shakti.
Thank you.
Yes.
Before I enter New Vrindavan, I will put my angelic look on. Um, as you're speaking, I mean, my son's 19, but I remember like it didn't matter if I slept one wink. I just wanted to look at him, kiss him, be near him, feed him, like him. It was just such a love that I had never experienced. That and I know that's what you're experiencing and you're speaking of, and it is just so true.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like nothing else matters.
Mm.
And this is like the highest love we can have in this material existence. But imagine that like multiplied by like infinity. This is what's available for us in relationship with God. Yeah, if we simply endeavor. And this is the beautiful part. If we simply endeavor, Krishna reciprocates with us like tenfold. This is kind of amazing too. It is that Krishna, he's not partial, he's personal. So he's reciprocal. And he'll reciprocate with the sincerity that we bring. So if we approach him with affection and a genuine desire to serve, he'll give us that intelligence and strength to remember him. Like he helps us. So this is another reason that this bhakti path is easier because we're not doing it alone. We're not just relying on our own strength and discipline, austerity. Oh, in fact, we're hard like the amount of effort that we put in, Krishna like multiplies by 10 and pulls us towards him. That's what's kind of fueling the relationship is the mercy that we get from just from Krishna seeing our sincere effort. He helps us. He empowers us from within. He guides us, right, through his mercy. And this steadies our mind and this deepens our remembrance. So this is the beautiful thing about bhakti. And the other beautiful thing, this is something that's really hitting me. I was just telling somebody this. I just text. I forgot who it was, but anyway, this is the second year in a row I haven't been able to go to India, and I am like obsessed with going to India. It's like what I live for. But I will say, and since I had a child, and it's just kind of slowed my roll a little bit, which is okay, because I actually feel this Kartik specifically this month, this time of year, is I felt more Vrindavan vibes than ever, right? Like I felt, and Vrindavan is the holy city. Right? It's where Radha and Krishna have a lot of pastimes, and it's love, right? That's what Vrindavan is. It's a holy city, and it's love. And the beautiful thing is this place, so many of us go because we go and the spiritual potency is so high there, and you're filling up your cup, you're just trying to take buckets back with you. But the beautiful thing is that when you cultivate this relationship with God, Vrindavan becomes not just a physical destination in India, but it's something we can carry around with us in our hearts. We don't have to go to a temple or a retreat or a holy place. These places are nice and they're surcharged and they're really helpful. But this Vrindavan is a state of consciousness. And it lives in the heart that remembers Krishna with love. Whenever we remember him sincerely, he's there. And I'll be honest, this is probably the first time I've really felt that in a really strong way this past Kartik. Because I'm always feeling like I need to go to India. If I can't go to India, I'm upset. It's like this is the first time I felt like actually, maybe I don't because I feel, I would love to, and it'd be wonderful. But at the same time, I really feel that Vrindavan in my heart. And that's the beautiful thing. It can happen for us. It's a consciousness. We don't have to go outside to go in, right? We can just be in. We can create this holy place anywhere by just remembering him. So Krishna's showing us here that this remembrance through bhakti yoga is not only the highest place, but it's also the most accessible. We don't have to withdraw from life. We just have to invite Krishna into it. And in that, every moment becomes sacred when we're remembering him with that affection. Yeah. Did somebody just say something?
Yeah, hi, Paul. If I
Yes,
could say something, two things. One,
please.
just what you said. Prabhupada in his purport says that the pure devotee can carry out his service anywhere at any time. Some say that a devotee should remain in holy places like Vrindavan or some holy town where the Lord lived. But a pure devotee can live anywhere and create the atmosphere of Vrindavan by his devotional service. And so, although, we're not pure devotees, we can do that to whatever extent, we are able. And it's exactly what you're saying. I love that. And I love this verse. And, he's saying, like, also, why is he easy to obtain? Um, because of his constant engagement in devotional service.
Hmm.
And again, it's, even though it's a pure devotee, I think we've all had something of that experience of just getting lost in what we're doing, of losing all sense of like time or where we are. And, for me, years ago, one of my teachers asked me what was my favorite thing about Krishna consciousness. and I didn't even have to think. It was service. It's
Mm.
devotional service. And there are 9 different processes, and within each of those there are so many variations and so many ways we can do it. And for me, it's to serve the devotees, and I'm super fortunate that my life is arranged in such a way that most of my days is spent in service to devotees and devotional service. But we all, we there are so many different kinds. We're all engaged in that. Um, and I love that. And that feeling when you're doing service of you forget time, you forget your pains of your body. That's really possible for all of us. And so I love that that's available for us in this verse. So thank you.
Wow. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. And how fortunate you are that you've always been attracted to service like that. I was
Um,
not attracted to service. Can I just be honest? I was not attracted to service. I just like chanting, and I was happy just to sit by myself and chant, and that was it for me. And then I had a teacher, Veda Sar, who really pushed me into doing service, and he never stops pushing me into doing service, which is why even I do this podcast is his push, and even the reason I do retreats, it's his push. But I think that that's what's made the difference this year. That's actually what I said. It's the service that attracts Krishna. That he Krishna loves to see us serving his devotees. I mean, there's nothing higher than that. So when we do that, Krishna reciprocates and brings us closer to him. And I totally agree with you. It wasn't my first choice, but I'm feeling it now, and now it is.
And then the number one listed service is listening, is hearing about
Mm,
Krishna. So,
mm,
don't we all love
So
to hear
here we
about?
all are.
Yeah, here we are listening, hearing, and talking about Krishna, and forgetting, the other 23 hours of today.
mm. Yes. Yes, that's true. That's very true. That's a good point. Thank you. Thank you. Does anybody else want to share anything that's coming up for them? Let's see. Somebody has their hand up. Aaron, please share.
Hare Krishna. Um, I just want to say that I just like appreciate your service so much because this is like one of many verses about pure devotional service that I honestly usually just like, read and move on because I'm like, well, that's not me and that doesn't apply to me. Um, and I just the whole point of this, right, like the churning of these verses and applying it to your everyday, like I just related so much to like a lot of the things that you shared, and then to juxtapose that with like the feeling that like this verse is not for me or about me. um it's super helpful to like just see it in a different perspective. And yeah, it really feels like, like the whole point of this podcast is just like illuminated for me right now in this moment because um I struggle with that a lot. And I know, you know, that like Prabhupada wrote, like people say all the time, like these words are written for you, like he wrote them for you. And like all of us, right? Like all of us who are reading it. um and I think it takes some work to see that. I
Mm,
don't think that comes off in a first read for a neophyte devotee or a neophyte
mm,
anything. I think it does take this churning, so I'm just really appreciative for that.
mm. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. I feel the same. I feel grateful for good teachers to make this accessible and real. And if we have that sincere desire that this is real in our lives, then Krishna will bring us opportunities, that will help us to access those kinds of teachings that make it real.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's what's so beautiful too about this group. Our sangha here is everybody's just so sincere, and I really appreciate you all and doing this together. Yeah. And I love what you said too about, sometimes we think like we're too sick to take the medicine. We're like, that's not me. That's way above, where I am. And maybe it is, but at the same time, that's okay because the bhakti, the goal and the process is the same. So even if you come and you have some kind of mixed motives, and most of us do, right? Krishna will purify you through the process. So we don't even have to worry about that. We just have to try to try to refine our intention, right? Try to become more sincere. We have to aspire for that. We have to want that, and then allow Krishna to work on us, right? To work through us. And in that, the process is joyful and the goal is joyful. And Krishna gives us that gift. Thank you. Thank you, Aaron. Anybody else want to share anything before we move on?
I just want to say thank you to your mother. She totally raised a beautiful child.
Oh, my mother is my mother's a great mother. I'm do you ever like say things to your child and then you're like, wow, that's exactly how my mom sounds? It's like constantly, right? It's really blessed. Yeah.
Um, I just want to share Mariah posted something.
Oh, please read it for us. Is that
Yes.
okay?
She wrote, "We may not be pure, but when we practice under the guidance of a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, of our service is accepted, and we get to experience glimpses of Vrindavan, Radha Krishna being with us."
Mhm. Yes. Yes, that's the process. We're so fortunate. We're so fortunate. Thank you, Mariah. Mariah's at work, so she can't talk, on Thursdays anyway. Thank you. Okay, so in this next verse, Krishna is going to continue this theme by guiding us on how to fix the mind on him. So the question is, what gives us the motivation to remember Krishna? And Krishna is going to say, think about the results, right? What happens when the mind stays on him? When we think of Krishna, we all have experienced this. I mean, this is why we're here. Right? If you've listened to a class or you've been absorbed a kirtan, you've been absorbed in Krishna, how does the mind feel? We feel peace, we feel clarity, we feel freedom, we feel connection. And then how does it feel when it wanders elsewhere? You get restless, we get distracted, we're like scrolling aimlessly. We're going down a dark hole with the scrolling aimlessly. So he's teaching that where we place our attention shapes our consciousness. So in the next section, he's going to deepen that point. He's going to show the real difference between a mind anchored in him and a mind that's pulled by the world. So that's where we're going. We'll do one more verse today. When you're ready, Stella, can you read it for us?
Yes. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection.
Thank you. So here, Krishna is speaking very matter-of-factly, right? He's saying, this world is full of miseries. But if you worship me, you won't have to come back. And before we really get into this verse, I want to get into just this line that he says, this world is full of miseries. I want to kind of unpack that because a lot of times people will be, and I remember this when I first came into spiritual life, like that's such a pessimistic perspective. You're so pessimistic to say the world's full of, it's not misery. I experience some happiness. And And the truth is that we think that we experience happiness. We think that we experience happiness, but we just don't really fully understand what's available for us in relationship with God. And that's why this happiness that we think we're experiencing, it really kind of pales in comparison to what's available for us. It's like somebody in jail gets served lunch and so their belly's no longer, growling, but really what they were served was just like some cardboard that was, you know, filled their stomach. And so their belly's not like grumbling anymore, so they feel like, "Oh, wow, that was a great meal." But if they ever got out of jail and went to like a five-star restaurant, they would know like that was not a good meal. We just are so conditioned here in this material existence to what we see in front of us, to what we've experienced, that our scale, our relativity is kind of off. Right? We just really have to kind of expand our consciousness and our capacity for consciousness to even conceive that there might be something better for us out there. It's something where disease, old age doesn't exist. Right? Something where our mind and our body, our environment, other people aren't hurting us. Anybody ever get hurt by your own mind, your own body, right? Other people, the environment around you? Right? There's a world where these things that doesn't happen. We can't even fathom of that because we haven't experienced it. Just like in jail, someone wouldn't even know what like a nice meal is. No, this is what it is, and it makes my belly stop grumbling. So that's great. But no, there's so much more available for us than that. And we also don't even have to wait until we're done with this body to experience it. We can experience it right here in this body. And that can help us build faith to know what really exists for us in a destination after this body. So it's like, imagine walking barefoot down a thorny path. And pretty soon our feet will hurt. And if someone warns us like, hey, this path is full of thorns, they're not being negative. They're just being realistic and they're preparing us. So this is what the Gita is speaking to here. Again, it's not pessimistic when it says this world is a place of distress. It's just being honest. It's just being honest. And Krishna doesn't tell us this to make us fearful. He's preparing us. He's preparing us and he's saying, put on your spiritual shoes before walking through this world. Because your spiritual shoes will make all the difference. They'll make all the difference as we're going through that thorny patch, right? And our spiritual shoes are absorption in Krishna. Keeping the mind attached to something higher and unshakable. Because wherever our consciousness rests, that's where we're going to feel the most intensely. If we're completely focused, if we're only focused on like how good our feet feel as we walk barefoot through the forest, then those thorns are going to crush us. But if we're absorbed in Krishna, and if we're absorbed in God, they're going to have much less impact. Right? Just like if we're obsessed with a football team, and we can be so caught up in a game that we forget everything else. So in that same way, if we become absorbed in God, right, this supreme reality, life's ups and downs, they don't shake us as much because we're not so focused on them. We're not relying on them to derive every ounce of happiness in this world, in this existence. We understand we understand them for what they are and what they aren't. They're going to come, they're going to go. We're going to be happy sometimes, we're going to suffer sometimes. And the more that we relish our connection with God, the more we understand that even life's happiness is really just relief from life's suffering. Because we come into contact with such a higher degree of happiness that it changes our whole perspective. Just like I have my child, my whole perspective has changed of what's actually important, what's actually worth spending my time on. I just threw away this this paint by numbers kit when my mom was here. My husband and I used to do that. Well, we tried to do that. We weren't ever really that into it. But I was looking, I was like, when did I ever think this was important to spend time on? Not that that's bad. It's honestly just not me. But it's like our whole priorities shift, because we see what's important to spend time on in our lives. And so this is what happens when we develop a relationship with God. Our whole conception of what is real, what makes us happy, where we turn to for happiness changes. And as does our perception of what this world is and what this world isn't. And when we don't expect to get our happiness out of this world, what happens is naturally some things will bring us pleasure. Some things will not bring us pleasure, but we won't get so fixated, so obsessed, so frustrated when those things don't, right? When those things fail us. Because we're not even looking that way. They're just become like little ripples in the ocean instead of just like these big waves that are crashing on us. So this is what the Gita does. It helps us resize our suffering. We can't avoid pain, but we can change how deeply it cuts us. And when our consciousness is fixed on the world, when we're constantly thinking about our barefoot feet with those thorns, every problem feels huge. But when we lift our consciousness towards God, those same problems shrink in significance. So it's like zooming out on a map and realizing one rough patch isn't the whole journey. And even more than this, the goal isn't to deny pain, but it's to elevate our consciousness. So when our awareness is spiritualized, we stop fixating on every single little hurt and start seeing life as a classroom for growth. So we can take steps to heal or improve things, but we do it with steadiness, not despair. So we're still making an effort. We're still doing what we can. We're not just saying, throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's nothing for us. No, we still do what we can, but we don't expect that things here are going to, fill our God-shaped hole in our heart. Right? But we act responsibly and we do our duty, and we do it as a service to God. And in that way, we spiritualize it, and even the things here bring us closer to God. So this is how we deal with it. This is how we deal with it. Does anybody want to share anything? Yeah, Shakti. You're on mute, darling.
Sorry, I feel like a big mouth, but I was just typing it. Um, when I came back from India this past year, beginning of February, I said, I'm going to try not to watch TV. I'm just going to like not, engage in that and see how it goes. I literally have not, and I wrote at all, but I did put, like, I didn't put it on, but like my son who's 19, he's watching like the sports. So I sort of like watched a little with him to just, but really to be closer to him. Not because I really care, because I have no idea who's winning what. I don't know what team is what team.
Sure.
But it's like I have so much free time
Hmm.
that since February, it's now October, I have not put the TV on. Like I used to say, oh, well, it's just background noise.
Hmm.
And it just took up so much, it just sucked the energy. It was all this negative, just stuff happening. And I just like, and now I don't want to watch it. Like now I have no
Hmm.
desire. And it's just
Hmm.
like I don't know, I guess for me, like if I can just without like expecting myself to have anything, just think, I'm going to try this. Like if I expect it, then forget it. But if I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm going to see how it works. I'm going to, just not put it on and see if I actually get more done because I kept feeling like I was running out of time.
Hmm.
It's like, wow, like my life is so different. And
Mm.
it's like, I don't know, it's just, it's amazing. And I bless Krishna. I thank Krishna every day for the ability to have the strength to not click, or even just on the phone, like the zooming, like just
Yeah.
zooming out and going like, okay, what is really important to me? And whether or not Kim Kardashian is wearing something over her face or not, not really important to me. So
Yeah.
it's, I don't know if anyone else has felt that way at all. But yeah,
Yeah, it's
mm,
funny, all the things that we turn to for connection or for relaxation or that then end up just making us like stick in our consciousness in a way that just like doesn't feel elevating. It just feels kind of like blah. And then we start to realize that, and then we start to make a different decision. And steadily over time, we see the effect that our different decision has on our consciousness. And then we become kind of more and more addicted to that. Yeah. I did the same thing. I gave up TV for Kartik and I said, I'm going to listen to Prabhupada instead of TV. And I'll be honest, the first like week was brutal difficult. I felt like an addict. I was like trying to talk myself, trying to come up with excuses why it might be okay to turn it on. But ultimately, I didn't do it because I was like, I'm doing this for God. Like, I'm not going to do this. But now I'm feeling like I don't even think about it anymore when I sit down. I just naturally turn on a class. And I feel the same. I feel such a difference in my consciousness, even when I wake up in the morning after an evening of just listening to classes instead of whatever I'm drowning out, whatever kind of drama I'm intaking on the television. It's like, yeah. And yeah, like I said, this is the first Kartik I felt Vrindavan in my heart, and all of these things add up to that, make that make that so. But we have to really want it. We have to really want it. And it does take some discipline. But just like you said, it takes some discipline and God will see that and God will use that to bring us closer. So it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. And this is where we have to get, thank you, Shakti. We have to understand that life isn't meant to be endlessly comfortable. If you spend your life trying to fix that, get a house that's situated just nicely, just right, get a career that's a little bit more that fits a little bit better, right? If you become so obsessed with these things that they become your main focus, it's making this life a little bit more comfortable. You're going to get so distracted and you're going to get so disappointed because it's not even possible. It's not even possible. This life you're going to be uncomfortable. Then this is kind of the point because it's meant to be healing. And the pain that we experience in the discomfort, it's not punishment. It's part of the treatment. It's part of the treatment. So in that sense, this world is like a hospital. And through God, through the Gita, it's like a compassionate doctor guiding us towards recovery. So the doctor, he doesn't need to convince us that the hospital is uncomfortable. We already know that. We're uncomfortable sometimes. But his message is follow the treatment and you won't have to come back. So the purpose of the hospital, it's not to make people suffer, it's to cure them. And that's the same way with this world. The world's pain, it exists to wake us up. That's the purpose of this pain, this discomfort. You're not supposed to think, oh, well, I'm the controller and I'm experiencing some pain. I can do this and get out of this pain. No, that's like a death trap. That's like denying the treatment, pulling all the IVs out of you and just like walking your own way. That's what's happening. No, when we experience pain, we should understand that the purpose of this pain is to wake us up, to help us realize that our suffering comes from a deeper imbalance within us. And this disease that we're suffering from is this misdirected desire. Because if we strip away this body, this body-mind package, we are eternal spiritual beings. And that's what we are at our core. But we're trying to find happiness in temporary things. We're chasing pleasures that never fully satisfy. And bhakti yoga is the treatment that heals the heart. Everyone needs it. Whatever you call God, if you call God Krishna, Allah, Jesus, whatever you call God, bhakti yoga is the treatment that heals the heart because it redirects our desires from matter towards God. And God is the source of real joy. So when we take up this process, this chanting, the serving, the remembering, we're not escaping life. We're relearning how to live it. And this is like a patient who follows the doctor's orders and slowly regains health. This is the practice of spiritual life. We listen to God's orders through the Gita, through the words of the Gita, and we're learning how to regain health. And that makes us spiritually strong. That makes us peaceful. That makes us steady. That makes us joyful. Many of us are getting there. Many of us are feeling that. And eventually, we'll get to leave the hospital for good. And that's what we're doing here. But when we ignore the cure, the story changes. And if for the soul that's attached to temporary things, we're all attached to some degree to the things. But if this is our focus in life, if this is all there is for us, right? Just attached to temporary things, we'll lose everything that we're clinging to. Eventually, we'll lose everything that we're clinging to. Yet, the difference here is that we'll still exist and we'll carry the same desires and karma into another body. And we'll return for more rounds of treatment. But if we accept this bhakti yoga, and if we accept that this is the cure, we'll become fully healed. Right? And for if we can do that, death isn't scary. It's like being discharged from the hospital. We're like finally going home. We're free, we're whole. So Krishna's message here is simple. He's saying the world is full of miseries, but if you worship me, you won't come back. And in this, he's not condemning the world. He's not pessimistic. He's just realistic. He's explaining it. He's saying you don't have to stay sick forever. Take the medicine, follow the treatment, and you'll be free. Because Krishna's the teacher. Krishna's the supreme personality of God. Krishna knows. Just like if somebody's born in a hospital and they don't know any better, they have something they have a disease or something that makes them stay in the hospital forever. And all they know is the hospital. And the doctor says, there is so much more available for you than living like this. And they say, no, I'm kind of okay here. I'm kind of got my own schedule and I have my routine. And I have this bed that's pretty comfortable. And I know when the meals are going to come on time. And the doctor's like, no, listen, if we can get your body healed, there's so much more available for you. And Krishna's like that. He just knows. He just knows how much more is available for us. And he's giving us the cure. And we have to decide if we want to take it. And it's okay. If we don't want to take it, we don't have to take it. But know that your attachments will bring you back again and again and again until you decide that you're ready to take the treatment. And this is life. Life can feel like this. Life can feel like a hospital. The waiting rooms, the checkups, the test. And Krishna's giving us this way to graduate from it completely. To walk out healed, joyful, to never return. And if you're saying, I just don't know if I really buy into all this, and that makes sense, right? I can see that argument because all we've experienced in this material existence is this material existence. So why would I buy into something that seems so far out, right? Like, what's my proof? I think we all want proof. And what I would say to someone like that, because I used to be someone like that, right? So I'm very scientific. They're very like, I'm not just going to believe you because you're telling me. No, try it on, right? Try the process out with an open heart. And that's kind of the key. That is the key. With an open heart, try the process on, whether it's chanting, kirtan, association with devotees. listening to a class, try something and try it regularly and see if you start to feel a little bit cured inside. Like the disease is healing a little bit. Like you're less upset when you lose your job. You're still upset, but it doesn't completely unravel you. Right? Or a relationship is strained. Right? When your house isn't just built on this sand, right? Sand of the temporary existence, temporary material world, that it's just constantly shifting. Right? When you start to take the medicine, your foundation becomes strong. Right? And then you start to feel healthy. And this helps us to build faith. And we experience this little bits of joy from this process that's prescribed by the doctor, you start to have a little bit more faith in the doctor. So you say, maybe he knows what he's talking about. And that's what the Gita is. We try on these things, just these principles. Try them on. And as we start to listen to the doctor's advice and we start to see healing, we start to experience healing in the form of steadiness, increased joyfulness, feeling more connected, right? As we start to feel this healing, we start to build faith in the doctor's prescription and we start to come back for more. Okay, you got anything else for me, Doc? That felt really good. What else do you have for me? And the Gita has it all. It's all available for us. But we don't have to take it all at once. We can take it just as we're ready for it. But we have to take something if we ever want to get better. If we ever want to leave the hospital. So the next two verses, he's going to describe these two destinations in details. And he's going to help us understand exactly what we're choosing when we choose remembrance. So that's where we're going. And we'll get to that in the next class. But we have a little bit of time for reflections and shares. Does anybody want to share anything? Jennifer, if you feel like sharing anything, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, this is fantastic. I'm so glad that I've landed here. Where my head is right now, it's really kind of spinning because it's so much information. Um, I'm quite the opposite of you, what you talked about, that I was all about service my entire life. And when I came into like at the Bhakti Center was like 10 years ago, like all my teachers were like cut me off from all my movement, and then during COVID, I was cut off from my work. So all of a sudden I was with myself really for the first time. And I was always about movement and doing for other people and all that. So I didn't have to be with myself. And so my teacher had me get deities in the home, and it was all about meditation and being in front of the deities. And so I was just crying for like 3 years and just being with myself. And then just everything fell apart. I lost friends. It was just awful. And it was all about really making amends to other people. I've kind of saw what I have done in my life, where I thought I was like being of service with other people. It was really self-serving, to look a certain part. And then I see that my symptoms of behaviors or whatever word you want to insert there, is directly proportionate to my suffering, whatever, like from childhood, whatever traumas or whatever word you want to insert there. But then as the healing comes in from the doctor, from my different teachers, from Prabhupada, from my personal relationship from Krishna, is directly proportionate to the work that I do. And then I realized that it's not my work at all, that it's all mercy. And then that's kind of a new thing for me. It's like, oh, it's nothing that I do. It really is just, it gets really emotional. It's like, oh, it is all realizing that it's just given to me. So it's like, oh, I feel like I work, because I'm a worker, and it's like, I have done this, I have earned this, I deserve it.
Yes.
Oh, I am not worthy of this at all. Because I've done a lot of things in my life, of not worthiness. So like hearing all this is just spinning, it's like, oh my God, this is exactly where I am. And just needing a sangha, just I've tried on in a lot of different places too, and not really landing in the right spot. Um, so I'm really grateful to land here, and it's exactly, I'm still kind of crying a lot, for like no reason. It feels like I could be walking in the woods and like just break down. But it's gratitude, and realizing it's like whatever I have been in my life is not really it. And it's like, oh my God, who am I? So it's a weird thing. Um, and just not even trying to figure that out. It's just kind of feeling whatever that clown was with sand in the bottom that is like this, that gets punched and it's like that. And so, and being in this thing for about 12 years now, and that's what I'm feeling like now. It's like kind of just feeling like punched around and not really steady.
Hmm.
Still doing the thing, but kind of feeling off my feet a little bit. So, thank you.
Wow. Wow. I feel like as you were talking, I was realizing why you're here also, because you're so sincere and so committed to the work. That's very obvious in your story. And in that way, you have things to share with other people that can benefit and that are also doing the work and trying to bounce back. So thank you for being here and joining our community, and we're so happy to have you. We're so happy to have you. Yeah. Mariah said, I think while you were just speaking, she said, so beautiful. We need both. She says, doing doing the internal work helps us let go of the attachment. So when we serve, it becomes more pure and devotional. Yes. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you, Mariah. I wish you could talk today. This is really nice. Pure devotional service is the goal. It's a two-track process. How beautiful. Thank you for helping me have a deeper realization of this. Yes, isn't that funny when we come into spiritual life and we realize, like, oh, actually, it was serving, but that was actually that was self-serving. Even though it looked outside like I was doing things for other people, really, I was just trying to fill a hole within myself. It's exactly what Mariah's saying. Yeah, as we become more internal, we do the internal work, we clean up inside, we can go outside in a more actually selfless and pure way. Thanks, Mariah. Aaron said Bhakti really likes to pull the rug out from under us over and over again. It's so true. Just when we think that we're on stable ground, it's like, oh wow, there's something else under there. Kay says we are happy to have Jennifer. Thank you. Thank you all for the beautiful shares on the chat. Do we want to have any final share today? Meg, do you have anything for us? Anybody want to share a final? Kay, we haven't heard from you today. What do you have?
I like two things from today's lecture so much about putting the spiritual shoes on
Mm,
before getting into the thorny forest. And second, the analogy about the doctor. He's there to help us, to cure us, to give us the right medication and all. And no, but we like to be in the hospital. Isn't that?
yes.
I mean, that is so beautiful. That was that it would be so nice to get out of the hospital. Same thing. What you said before that, before coming into all this, we thought, oh, this is pessimistic, how that we are not supposed to enjoy the sense gratification, you call it, or the parties, or watching TV and all that. But when you go that path, you realize that, oh, look, the happiness over here is so much million times bigger
Mm,
than what we used to do. So
mm,
many beautiful things today. And it was so nice to hear from everybody.
mm. Thank you, Kay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for those reflections. Thank you. Okay, my friends. Well, that's all for today. I am taking the week off next week, but I will see you all November. And it's so nice that all of you came today. Have our family back. So looking forward to seeing you all again.